Yep, it says recording above.
Yeah, like, was you sure you want to stop?
And you'll want to do mid all and mute all. Don't worry. It's so much backup right behind you.
And where do
That was next, better where you were. The top,
I?
where it's the
You can
little
exit
X
out.
on the little square that you were on. Just
How
the
do
big
I-
square, yeah. You see the next one?
One over.
One over, yeah. Oh,
Oh, you were just there right in the corner to close that box.
It's a tiny.
Here?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
okay. Michael, can you wave if you can hear us? Michael Turton? Okay, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay. Welcome to the monthly meeting, the February monthly meeting for 2025 for the Village Board of Trustees. Thank you for Deputy Clerk Kelly Apology pinch hitting tonight for us. Oh, we got someone else coming in. We're glad to have those who are here in person and those who are here online. Couple of announcements. I want to start out with some big thanks. It's been a rough week for weather and for our water system. Had a number of storms, and this really cold weather is been very brutal on our old water infrastructure. We've had a residential line break, a main break, and a valve break. They were all repaired on emergency basis, but that meant that our road, water and wastewater crew and roadway crews were in on Saturdays and late at night, as was John Pizzella, who came in to do the excavating. So I want to say a great big thank you to all of them, and I wanted to particularly call out Matt. One of the line breaks was determined late in the day, and the service had to be shut off to the family, and he made sure they had bottled water and water for flushing, and he really did everything he could for them, and I appreciate it. It's going to be whack-a-mole for a while, because we are dealing with old water infrastructure and it's cold. It's important to catch the leaks quickly because we do lose a lot of water very fast. A tiny leak in a kitchen earlier this week was 1,000 gallons in a very short period of time. I'm sorry, it was 120,000 gallons, $1,000 worth of water. So depending on where the leak is, if it's between the main and the house and the meter, we know system-wide that there's a leak, but we don't know where it is until it presents somewhere physically. So as you're walking the streets, I would ask you to please listen and watch for water. If you see anything that you think is out of normal, please get in touch with Village Hall as quickly as possible so we can hop right on it. We have received a number of questions this week about collections letters being received related to unpaid parking tickets. I want to confirm that as part of our parking program update, the village did contract with a third-party collections agency to pursue tickets that were uncontested or unpaid beyond the code designated cutoff date, a timeline of 120 days. These letters are legitimate. They need to be addressed directly with the collections agency. I want to strongly encourage folks who do receive parking or other violation tickets to respond within the required 30 days so that you catch that clock, either dispute it or pay it. The fines do increase at 60 days and at 90 days and go to collections after 120 days. And if you want to look it up in the village code, the reference for that is chapter 126, section 23. Any other announcements? Maybe my phone's sitting there pinging, that needs to get shut off. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on to opportunity to request to vote, add or modify agenda items. Any requests? Okay, you hearing none. Reports from village departments. All of these reports are available online. We're not going to read them into the record, but we'll choose highlights. We will go into some detail with, do we have Michelle Ascawillo with us yet? Okay, we'll come back to it. Is she waiting for admission, maybe? No. Okay. She said she would be with us. I'm sure she's just running behind. Roadways and Facilities crew is out on the street right now salting for tonight's expected icing event. So Bugsy is not with us. But I did want to take note that they have, done some additional sealing on skylights on the roof of the roadways and facilities garage, in addition to everything else we've been dealing with. That roof's gonna need attention. Not too long from now. Water and wastewater, we have Matt. Yeah. Yeah, are we able to change the view so we can see everybody?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Hi, Matt. There he goes, he just
Right.
unmuted. Hello, look how fancy you are.
Oh yeah, updated. I had a quick minute to do that, but yeah, better than a black.
So did you hear me singing your praises at the beginning of the meeting?
I did, thank you. It wasn't just a solo effort, but yeah, like you said, there was Bugsy and Co. They chipped in, and yeah, Pizzella with the plumbing and excavation. But yeah, no, it was luckily we found them all relatively quickly. I know some of them didn't present themselves at the opportune time, but yeah, they were managed to get done, and it's definitely showing a decrease in the overall system usage. So that's good.
Matt, can you give a brief explanation? When we have a main break, what is the issue that creates pressure drop and water discoloration? I mean, it seems obvious, but hearing it come from your mouth is probably helpful for some folks.
Yeah, basically, well, we can't shut off water. It's kind of been a frowned upon rule for a couple years now. So you have to do it under positive pressure, which just basically means you can throttle it down, but you have to keep water moving out of the break. So no water or the dirty water coming in is kept to a minimum. And then, like in the case of Main Street, just because of the amount of pressure and volume of water, sometimes we have to open up a hydrant just to alleviate the excess water. And then, yeah, make the repair and go from there.
Thank you.
But yeah, with all that being out of the way, I mean, yeah, there's a couple of leaks that we found that weren't anywhere close to what we had done this week. But yeah, overall, the system usage was actually down from last year. The bacterial test came in good. We replaced the SCADA PC monitors at both locations. We had a couple of pieces of equipment for the analytics replaced or serviced by the Hawk service program, which was good. That was all kind of under warranty. The DEC dam inspection took place on the 24th. That's being postponed. Yeah,
It
other
took
than
place or it's postponed?
oh, it was postponed in December and then done on January. Uh, Wastewater side of things, not too much is really going on with that. I mean, we submitted our biosolids survey and descriptive data, which just basically was a kind of a recap of our overall process and how much sludge is hauled off site as they were updating their records. Yeah, and then we got the approval for the electrical upgrades up at the facility and trying to wait for that to get scheduled. And I spoke to Earth Care today to add on the insurance. And then, yeah, hopefully we'll be able to schedule that cleaning and inspection within the next week or two.
Great. Thank you.
You got
You and I need to connect. There's a couple of issues with every year we have to update the emergency action plan for the dam.
Yep.
We did with the engineers last year, a full overhaul. This year is just a check-in. But there's a couple of things I need to make sure that are right with you. So at some point, either call me or stop by if you would.
tomorrow morning at the department head meeting.
Tomorrow morning, department heads, or next week?
Either one works for me.
Okay, we'll find each other.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Yes, you too.
Anyone else have any questions for Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for working in the cold.
That's part of the job.
Yeah.
All right, have a good one.
Is MA Michelle?
Yes, sorry. I had technical difficulties before.
So walk us through your report.
Sure. First, later on in the agenda, there is a list of parcels for unpaid village tax. Every year, the village is able to send unpaid taxes over to the county. The county will handle any collections after January 31st. So if anybody has unpaid taxes, they'll have to call Putnam County. And then in turn, Putnam County sends the funds to the village so that our tax roll is made whole in the fiscal year. Budget season is starting. The worksheets will go out to all the departments this week. And then I'll follow up with some emails for potential meetings for departments and a trustee each, depending on the workflow. This way we can do some brainstorming sessions one-on-one, and then we can bring it to the full board. And then, there's 2 or 3 of us to be able to bounce questions off of. Attached are the financial statements year to date for the general fund, water fund, and sewer fund. I have received some questions ahead of time, and I just wanted to run through a couple of them, point out some things on those reports. In the general fund, occupancy tax collection for the fourth quarter, but first quarter that the village collected. It was due at the end of January. Sometimes bank deposits happen, a day or 2 later, so February 1st. So a lot of the checks will be shown as revenue on the February statement. This happens quite often on the expense side. So now we're seeing it on the revenue side where, timing, it's not an issue, it's just a lag. Garbage charges, there's nothing received really year to date because garbage is from April to March. So anybody who has extra service would be billed for that period, which we're not up to yet, but coming soon. I think I mentioned it in a prior report, but just again, highway street maintenance is way over budget because the EV pickup truck is there. Once NYSERDA gives us the funds, I'll make an adjustment and put the revenue and the expense both in the water and sewer fund. But for now, it sits in the general fund. It should have gotten paid out of water and sewer, but I can make the adjustment. I didn't want to do it twice until the check comes, and then I can do one big change and transfer at that point. Does anybody? I'm sorry. Yes.
Greg, the clerk did send out a bill to C Street this morning.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks for following up with it.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you, though. Much appreciated. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Police Department. We have Officer in Charge Matt Jackson with us. If we're able to turn the camera to Matt on the Zoom thing, the technical term.
So for the month of January, we had 80 calls for service. Most of those were assisting EMS, fire, and the sheriff's office. Couple of things that I have going on in the police department right now is I've been going over the DGIS presentation. I did attend the planning board meeting the other night, and I gave a statement which I'll actually forward to you all by email, so you know where I'm coming from and my concerns with that whole thing. I'd appreciate it if you all could look it over. I do have a lot of questions, but I'm hoping that at some point I will be able to address those with the powers that be and get some answers. But more exciting news, I've been speaking with Haldane High School, and there have been a few students who have expressed interest in some sort of job in law enforcement, whether that be courts or police work. And we have decided to work with them on a student internship. So that's what we're going to be doing. The intern will apply, and I am asking that you all help me in that process, because I would appreciate it if you all could sit down with the selected intern and interview them, just like you would anybody else applying for a job, so they get the full experience.
Matt, can I interrupt for a second
Yep.
and say that this is part of Haldane's senior year program. The last X number of weeks of school, the students are sent out for internships, and there has been interest in law enforcement. We have not hosted a student from Haldane before, and Matt would
No.
very much like to do that.
Yeah, the school actually requested, inquired with the police department to see if there was something that we could do with them, so that they were local students in the local municipality rather than them going somewhere else, they thought it would be better for them to do it here. So after a lot of brainstorming and thinking and planning, we found out that we are going to be able to do this. The intern time is going to be 3 weeks. They're going to be here for about 20 hours a week. Like I said, they're going to go through the full application process. They're going to be able to sit with our officers, ask them questions. They're going to assist me with some of my duties. They're going to work alongside some of our officers. And they're also going to be working alongside Kathy in the court, so they can learn part of the court process. I'm going to teach them about the radio system, the CAD system, and basic police duties on what we do on a daily basis. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you all could take a little bit of time just to sit down with the individual that's selected. We don't know who it is yet. Like I said, they have to fill out an application, which part of that's going to be writing an essay on why they want to be an intern. And yeah, so that's the exciting stuff that we have going on.
I think it's useful also to point out that this is a collaboration with the county as well, because we've been working with
Yes,
the SRO,
SRO
Deputy
Anthony Tovey over there, and the students actually approached him about this, and you know, and then he went to the school and they contacted me to see if it was something that we'd be interested in doing and how we could do it. And the more, we got into it a little bit, trying to figure out if this was something. It was very difficult because we're all part-time here. And for 20 hours a week to have somebody here, we thought it was going to be rather difficult, but we were able to figure out a pretty decent plan on having someone come in for those 3 weeks to be involved in the police station and the courts and everything else.
And
So
part of that, I think, is piggybacking on the Putnam County Youth Court program.
that is going to be a prerequisite because the hours at the time, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to support that 20 hours a week. And we were going to use the youth court program as an additional 20 hours for that program. But so we just decided to keep that in place. So they will have to be enrolled in the youth court program at Haldane. And like I said, submit an essay. And that's really it. That's good. So I think it'll be cool.
It sounds really interesting and a really great opportunity for someone. And I think, I've led several internships, including Haldane students before. There's a lot that I don't know about though, and I wonder, and maybe you've looked at this as part of the research process, but obviously police officers get a fair degree of indemnification as part of your job and
Yeah.
what you can do. I'm not familiar with interns and what kind of risk there might be, or whether it's been
We are not
been
going to
internships in other places
Right.
similar.
We're not doing like a ride-along program where they're going to be responding to calls with the officer. It's going to be more administrative,
Right.
but they are going on the days that I'm available, and possibly another officer. We will be responding to the calls, but they will be responding from the side, not involved in the actual call. So I'd hate to use the term babysitter, but so that way our officer can conduct what he needs to on the call and not have to worry about someone else being there.
Right.
So
No, I understand, and that's good. You're making that. I mean, but obviously there is some degree of risk in your job.
Yeah.
And it's who assumes that risk if we have an internship?
I think that's a great question for Kieran, for our insurance dude, who is on the audit committee, who's on the insurance committee for the trustees. I think it's Teresa. Okay. That's a
Yeah.
question we can take.
So
with
then we
Kieran.
can look into that, see what that involves.
Thank you,
And,
Aaron.
Yeah, I'm sure it's definitely something.
I hope that, I
If it's
trust that it's completely solvable.
Liability to have them on the road, then we're not gonna have them on the road. So. But
Well,
there
and
is,
there must be, it's a good question. I'm sure there's a way to work with it with Kieran. The sheriff's deputy cadets to actually do ride-alongs with patrol officers, which is not what you're proposing this
Right.
student do. You're proposing maybe with the community relations officer or with the
Yes,
officer in
in
charge.
its infancy, we kind of took that part of it out of this whole process.
Mhm.
It was just gonna be more of an administrative thing. They would see what goes on behind the scenes and not on actual calls, because we didn't think we'd be able to facilitate all of that. So as we got more into it, we realized, you know what, we do have the availability that, and we're gonna have to pick and choose what they do and where they go.
Sure.
They're not gonna go to certain calls. We feel that it's an unsafe situation, they're not going.
Right.
But if it's a general call for service, we can take them along, no
Yeah.
problem.
No, and I completely trust your
Yeah,
judgment
I
in
wouldn't
this.
I wouldn't wanna put.
But there are also
someone at risk.
accidents sometimes, and I
Yeah,
think,
this
you know,
is true.
as trustees, we need to
Absolutely.
consider that. I hope that there's a way to work this out, because it sounds like a fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matt. I'm gonna pause for a second and ask a question to the audience. I see Supervisor Anabi from Putt Valley on the call. Hi, Jackie. I think
Hi,
that,
everyone.
hey, welcome to the village board meeting.
Thank you very much.
I had let Jackie know that, in the March meeting, it's the March meeting where I have invited the, IT director and BES to give us an update on the, emergency tower. So you're welcome to stay, but I don't want to waste an evening when you don't have to be sitting in a meeting, because it's not on the agenda tonight. It's March, whatever the second Wednesday of March is.
That'll be March 12th. That'll be March 12th.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor.
Well,
I hope you all have a wonderful evening.
Hey, it's really a pleasure to have you here. We don't often get supervisors from other towns, and I'm grateful. Looking forward to talking with you
Like
then.
a version of
Yeah,
something.
your meeting
Yeah.
usually coincides with our
Yes,
meeting.
exactly. See ya. See you next month.
Bye.
So on that note, we are fully
You guys
updated
want to stay? You want to go?
with the county. All of our radios, handhelds, and vehicles are updated to the new digital system. So we actually, for the first time in a long time, have nearly uninterrupted service, crystal clear service with our radios.
Fantastic.
It's definitely a reassuring thing to know that we can hear somebody and somebody else can hear us.
And it is, when you're standing in the room when the radios go, it is remarkably different.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've asked, Director Lannon and, Deputy Commissioner, Falloon to come over and give us an update on the tower, because, the fire companies continuing to have concerns. And so they're gonna come in and give us a report and give us a sense of timeline in March. Okay, I don't have a report from the fire company. Is there anybody on from the fire company? Okay, I'm sure that it will follow for the record. Justice Court, over the last month, seven defendants, 8 charges, total income of $26,583.50. That was court this afternoon. Criminal court this afternoon. Moving on to reports from standing boards and committees, I want to first thank our standing boards and committees. The Historic District Review Board, the Planning Board, and the Zoning Board all did a review of the draft general environmental impact statement for the Fjord Trail and submitted comments to the planner, who is working with this board. Actually, I think Planning Board has not turned it in yet, but they're working on getting the summary to him. And Ted is still on track to deliver, as far as I know, he's still on track to deliver a draft to us tomorrow to discuss next week. But thank you to the boards for taking time.
Friday,
I'm sorry, Friday. What did I say?
tomorrow.
Friday. I really just want it to be Friday.
Actually,
Okay, a couple things to pull out on board reports. I wanted to compliment the HDRB for working creatively with Our Lady of Loretto. There was a slate roof on the rectory building that needed replacing, and it was beyond the church's means. And so they agreed to save the slates that are removed from the rectory and store them for repairs on the existing slate roof at the church when those come necessary. So thank you for helping find a solution on that one. No other action. Most of the meetings were related to EGIS. We do not have a report from the tree advisory board. We do not have Jen. But to say for all of you that Bugsy and the contractor for the spring pruning, they sat together last week and worked out a rough schedule of block by block work that they're doing for the early spring trimming. So that's moving forward. Rec commission, we approved the installation of a shade sail at Tots Park. I don't know, feels like forever ago, a month ago. And the Friends of McConville Park, the Friends of the Top Park, the 501c3, was going to be purchasing that and managing it. In accessing their funds, they've realized that their 501c3 status is lapsed and needs to be renewed. So they're looking at ways to do that. I suggested to them that they talk to Friends of Phillipstown Rec because they have recently gone through that process of re-upping. So maybe they have some advice for them, but it's still on the schedule for spring. Our municipal partners, we have a report from the town of Phillipstown that they are in session tonight. I wanted to let you know that, and I should have recognized this when Jackie and Avi was on the call. Phillipstown, the supervisors in Phillipstown and Putt Valley have interviewed candidates for a shared full-time code enforcement officer, which will bring benefits to us as well. They're hoping to make that appointment within the next week, which will be great. I think we haven't looked at that contract with the town since it was signed, whatever it was, 2022. And we probably need to get an assessment of where we are with charges and services as part of our budgeting process. And I'm glad it's coming. And also to keep an eye, I see that Councilman Angel is working on a proposed local law to enact a comprehensive solar energy policy. Do you know about that, Laura?
It's more for large scale solar, so
Okay.
it's less applicable for us. We don't have the space for it, but the town board, I saw it in the agenda materials, is reviewing bids for solar at their highway garage, and it was very interesting to see them because they were better quotes than what we got for our water plant. So I feel like maybe it's something that we're still kind of rethinking what we would do with our $175,000 grant, and like, maybe it's worth it. So I'll look through those a little bit more and see if we can learn from Phillipstown. Yeah, and I'm glad that they got some good bids.
That is our only government partner award. I've been working on the last month mostly on dam related issues, moving the acquisitions forward. Continuing engagement with FEMA and Federal Highway. We're now on month 11 with Federal Highway, month 11 with Federal Highway, waiting for some response on that. But as you all know, last week we moved the lead agency documentation forward, so that process is rolling, and that will get us to bidding and bans. So that all went out as requested. The additional interested agencies were added to the list. I've been prepping for employee interviews, need to get through them. That'll help us be ready for
Review
budget. No, what did I say? Interviews? I really wanted to Friday. Employee performance reviews. I've been attending ongoing meetings with Trustee Starbuck and Frymark and staff related to parking program evaluation. And that too is as we head into budget season, so that we're prepared to model revenues and expenses and look to improvements on that end. Anything else?
So just to add on to that, we're reviewing the parking plan program as we sort of said we would, to see if there are improvements and tweaks and things that we can make. Meeting with the staff, we've been reviewing a lot of the complaints that have come in, and that's been really informative and kind of giving us a general pool of comments from the public. I'm looking for other ways that I can find, constructive suggestions for how to improve the system.
I think you don't mean complaints. You mean the,
Did I say constructive suggestions?
no, you are reviewing the, disputes. Thank you.
Disputes, yeah, sorry, thank you for correcting me. And, you know, we're kind of finding some really like easier fixes. I mean, things that we can budget for next year, like signage, cleaning up the signage and making it less easy to miss, and maybe adding kiosks. And there's little things like the tech doesn't always work between the meters and like the kiosks. And so Michelle and I have been talking to Park Mobile to see if there's things that they can fix on their end. So we're reviewing all of that and just trying to like clean it up and find any way that we can make this work better. But I'm all ears. I'm very open to suggestions, and we're trying to find suggestions that lots of people have so that they actually reflect something that is a real problem and not just someone's opinion.
Thank you very much. And of course, that will all be discussed as part of the budgeting process as we consider signage and kiosks, et cetera. Okay.
Can I mention one?
Yeah, go ahead.
One piece. So our so popular food scrap drop-off site in Kendall Lab, the lid is broken, and it's been like that for a few weeks, and a big apology to everyone who enjoys using it. So we're working to replace it. It looks like it's not fixable. Replacing it is a little bit harder than it sounds like it should be, as most things are. So I would say to everyone who is using it, if you're not comfortable with the kind of awkward broken feature, please be careful. And you can also drop off at the Saturday morning site at Lingate. And we'll get this resolved when we, as soon as we can. Thank you for doing research on a replacement. I don't think any of us expected that the program would be as robust as it is. I think Yeah.
it's getting a lot of use.
Yeah, I mean, if we can replace it with something that allows for bigger capacity, we'll do that, but to be determined.
So, moving on to board business, if there's nothing else. First item is related to the DGEIS, which we are in process of responding to. Thank you to everyone who sent in comments. I am still working on mine. So as part of our agreement with Green Plan, which we discussed in public session on the 18th of December and again on the 8th of January, Ted did pull out on page 3 the following footnote. This chapter will be reviewed in general for its traffic impacts in the village. The chapter is based upon a standard traffic assessment prepared, he's referring to the traffic and transportation chapter, which is chapter 4L. The chapter is based on a standard traffic impact assessment prepared by a licensed civil engineer with a transportation background. I am not qualified to verify the assumptions, methodology, nor the results of this assessment, since this requires a transportation professional possessing licenses and certifications, including a PE. My focus instead will be the qualitative impacts on the village with an assessment of how those impacts affect the village. In the event a traffic engineer is required to assist in the review due to the complexity of the traffic studies, I suggest engaging John Canning, PE, Vice President of Kimley Horn of White Plains, as a subcontractor subject to confirmation. I have a good working relationship with Kimley Horn. I did meet with John Canning and John First and Ted Fink via Zoom the other day. John First strongly recommends that we do this so that we have an objective traffic assessment, and his concern is primarily around the fact that there is so little traffic assessment in the village, and building out a narrative with the backing of a licensed traffic engineer will be important for the public record. So I put before you tonight a proposal to take on John Canning of Kimley Horn in the amount of $3,500. Discussion?
I have a question. So is this a proposal for a study of our traffic?
No, it's for commenting
Just a
on the
comment.
DGIS from the
Position
From-
of an expert.
Correct,
Okay, so our consultant needs a consultant?
which was clear from the beginning that when it came to traffic, he may need an engineer. And that was, we discussed that again on the 18th and on the 18th of December and the 8th of January.
Good thing we knocked that price back.
Any others?
He did, the traffic consultant, John Canning, I think, did send some thoughts and comments.
They're very, very initial, because obviously he wasn't being
Right.
paid.
We haven't paid him yet. But I think I only received those this morning. So I haven't.
So you got the proposal from Green Plan on Friday. The only person who followed up and asked for more information was Laura, and it was provided to all of you as soon as she asked for additional information.
Thank you, Laura. Good.
So there was opportunity between Friday and today to seek additional information.
Okay, I'm not used to having to ask for things that are on the agenda, but I'll do that. in
You
the
were
future.
provided the memo from Ted.
So, yes. And also one of my comments when we did discuss Green Plan was that I was concerned that this unanticipated expense would be followed by more expenses. And it seems that's correct. So, I'm a bit worried about that. We voted as a majority of the board voted to have, Mr. Fink, put everything together here for us, and I'm looking forward to his comments. I've seen nothing from him so far. I know he's had some conversations with you, but that hasn't been circulated.
His deadline is Friday, Aaron.
Okay. That's good. I look forward to those deadlines.
Anyone else?
I noticed amongst the trustees that provided comment, I think there was there were a number of comments about concern about the impacts of traffic and further questions about the impacts that weren't fully resolved by the DGEIS analysis. So, I think that that's a very substantive area of concern for the village. And, I think we all work on tight budgets in the village. And so, think hard about all the expenses that we pay. But to me, I have a similar comment that I did when we reviewed the Green Plan. I think that this is a hugely consequential project, and we really want to understand its impacts and be able to seek mitigation measures or otherwise to make sure that that the residents here are, reflected, the quality of life is reflected. I think this is like a lot of the things that we purchase, this is something that's important.
I can appreciate the concern, I suppose, price, but I do think, again, that, it is a very dense document. As far as I know, none of us are traffic engineers, so I think we are trusting with providing us with more detailed analysis of the DGIS. If he thinks that it requires that next level of investigation and probing, I think that is a wise decision. I think we need to have all the information that we can to make good decisions moving forward, whether it's this board or future boards. So I think it's money that I think will be well spent.
Well, among the concerns that John first expressed, and John first has worked with Kinley Manning on other projects, on other major projects, is that part of responding to the DGIS is building the public record that the lead agency needs to respond to. And so it's important that this be well addressed and well articulated. I know some of the concerns that the officer in charge has raised related to traffic and public safety are probably appropriately fed in through that path of response.
Can I just say, so, I mean, I think it's important also for us to remember that this is a draft general environmental impact statement. And
That's
so
right.
a lot of what we're doing now is analyzing it to say this, you know, looking at it to say this, there's a gap here, right? I noticed there's very little analysis of traffic impacts on residential streets. There's very little analysis of traffic impacts in the lower village. I think others have raised concerns about emergency vehicles in and out of the lower village. Those are gaps, and certainly that's something that I see as a layperson who read a whole lot of the EIS, but I think having that kind of analysis at this draft point is important so that it can be revised, taking, you know, they have to take the comments into account and incorporate it. And so then I think that's also our chance to see a final that more fully analyzes that and potentially builds out mitigation measures or otherwise. So
That's right.
I think that the timing of this is, as we've planned, as we've said, is really important.
And this is our one shot, because from here it goes to final environmental impact statement. So this is the shot.
I think,
Can
can I make one more comment? I think that, as Laura mentioned, a lot of different people in the village, including our officers who are on the streets and managing traffic safety, have made comments that would improve the DGIS and would require some mitigation or addressing. And now we're at the 9th hour or the 10th hour, and we have a short period of time, and now we're gonna throw $3,500 at a consultant to review the 700-page document for this. I just think it's all too late. And I think it's just, we're throwing village funds away.
So that's your opinion. The comment period closes on March 4th. So
Yes,
we
I'm
still have
aware of
time.
that, Kathleen.
Okay, Liza. So there is time for this person to add in. I think it's also important to understand that opinions of members of the public are weighted differently in an EIS analysis than
Yes,
professionals.
I'm also aware of this.
So would someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the Green Plan DGEIS traffic study proposal
At a rate of
at a total of
$3,500.
$3,500.
And it will be a subcontract to Green Plan. Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No,
Okay, the next item is paperwork, catching up on, this is the last bit of transition from June, from clerk to clerk and board secretary to board secretary. The planning board did recommend waivers for 72 to 76 Main Street, the deli. The fee was paid, but the resolution needs to be passed to close out the public record. So we're simply papering that determination and that payment. Would someone like to make the resolution?
Sure, I will make motion to make resolution 07-205, accepting the site plan waiver for the property at 72-76 Main Street. The following resolution was offered by myself, trustee Woods, for adoption and seconded by me. Trustee Bozy, to wit, whereas on June 27, 2024, the Village of Cold Spring Planning Board passed a resolution granting conditional site plan approval for the property located at 72-76 Main Street in the Village of Cold Spring. And whereas a condition of site plan approval was a waiver of 5 off-street parking spots pursuant of section 134-17M1 of the Village Code, and whereas the planning board did waive this requirement for the following reasons. One, most of the customers frequent the deli will order takeout and will not spend more than a few minutes inside. Two, the deli will have a focus toward village residents, and it is anticipated that many customers will walk to the property. And three, the existing space is not expanding. A condition of the site plan approval was a waiver of 5 off-street parking spots pursuant to section 134-17M1 of the village code, and it is hereby resolved that the village Board of Trustees does accept this resolution of the planning board to waive these provisions for the property at 72-76 Main Street on a roll call vote.
Trustee Bozzi,
Aye.
trustee Freimark.
Aye.
Trustee Starbuck.
Aye.
Trustee Woods.
Aye.
Mayor Foley.
Aye. You?
Passes.
Okay, the next is the Royal garbage contract. So I did go back to Royal and ask about extending terms through a little longer in the budget negotiation process, so that we could get a handle on potential adjustments in the contract. They agreed to extend through May 31st at the current rate, and that is no increase after February 28th. And giving us until June 1st to negotiate. Is this an acceptable memorandum? Ready to get in?
Yes.
Sounds like we need the additional time, right?
Yeah.
So glad that it was at the current rate. And do you feel like by May 31st?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, they've been, I mean, we've only had, I guess, one in-person
I
meeting.
talked to him on the
with them,
phone.
but yeah, they're very willing to work with us on any changes or additions that we want to make between now and then, so, yeah.
So that gives us time to work through audits to assess where we are in service and to make code changes that we might need to change. We might need to make the litter, quote unquote, litter tracker.
And we'll still likely have a good sense for the budget, next
Oh, for
year.
sure. Yeah.
It sounds all fine with me.
Okay, I don't know if we need to read this into the record, but I will, so just in case we do. Dated February 12th, 2025, memorandum of understanding. This memorandum of understanding is entered into by and between the Village of Cold Spring, 85 Main Street, Cold Spring, New York, 10516, here and after the village, and Royal Karting Service, 409 Route 82, Hopewell Junction, hereafter Royal, referred to collectively as the parties. Whereas the Village and Royal are parties to this agreement, which has an expiration date of February 28th, 2025. And whereas the Village and Royal Karting agreed to the following terms. One, the parties agreed to extend the current residential waste and recycle removal agreement at the current rates as of February 12th, 2025, with no increase, and at current service level through May 31st, 2025. The parties do agree to continue negotiations on rate and service changes to be implemented by May 31st, 2025. And three, if the parties are unable to resolve this matter by June 1st, 2025, then the service will continue. Oops, this is a typo here. Wait a minute. If the parties are unable to resolve this matter by June 1st, 2025, Royal will receive a 3% rate adjustment per the existing contract. So that needs to be updated in the final version. Now, therefore, in consideration of the terms contained herein, the Village and Royal agree to the terms of this memorandum of understanding. I make a motion to, well, I would asking for a motion for authorization to sign the MOU.
I move that, we approve the mayor to sign the memorandum of understanding with Royal Karting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thanks. All right,
I
so,
didn't see.
oh, thank you very much. I missed outstanding village taxes. So in your packet, and in the backup for the meeting online, is the list of unpaid village taxes for residential and commercial properties. Just to clarify that this is one of the ways that Putnam County does share services with us. They do take on the debt of the outstanding property taxes for the village, make us whole, and then they pursue them through their legal processes and in some cases auction, etc. So the list is available. I'm looking for approval to send it to the real property department.
I make a motion to approve the list of outstanding village taxes to be sent to Putnam County Real Property.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Carol. Okay. Last item is more of a discussion. I'm hoping that we can be focused and quick because it is crappy outside. So every year when we go into budget process, we set goals for the process. And I wanted to go over what our goals were for 24, 25. Just as a reminder to ourselves and to the public, and then talk about modifications that we want to make in those goals or additions we want to make. The goals were stay within the New York State tax cap, which we did. Conduct the budget process transparently, which we did. Address long deferred critical infrastructure needs, which we have been doing, they are in process. Build resiliency into our infrastructure for our changing climate. We've been doing that via pursuing grants and engineering. Preserve and maintain physical plant assets. We've been focused primarily on Village Hall and the DASNY grant, which is outside of budget area, but that's where we've been. So we've mostly been focused there on wastewater. We've had a lot of improvements that we needed to make it wastewater. And the last was fully operationalize new revenue sources, which we did for parking and occupancy tax, at least on the hotel side. So I think we've done really well over the budget year. Once Michelle makes adjustments in lines that she was describing tonight, we should be ending in a good place. One of the goals that I think we do need to add is establishing responsible fiscal plan for meeting infrastructure needs, because we are going to need to ban. Thoughts on adding that as a goal? Any other thoughts on goals? Bueller?
I agree with something similar to responsible fiscal plan. I'm not sure what the language should say there. The trouble with the STR permitting and the rollout of occupancy tax in the STR sector is, of course, as we all know, we haven't finalized any changes to the
Yeah, right, that has to happen first.
law.
Mhm,
Right?
yeah.
So,
And that's in our work plan for Q2.
right, but I think there's still a lot of outstanding questions there. So putting that here, I would want to have a bit more modest reach with the STRs, and because I think it's not clear to us at all, at least when we last left the STRs, what the path forward was.
Well, the path forward is that we are meeting with the code enforcement officer to review, to shape up the actual permitting process and bring that draft back to the board. And Laura and Abigail have been working on the taxation and permitting software and bring that back to the board. So we do have a path forward. We just need to get it on the calendar. And it's in Q2. But there is definitively a path forward. What other thoughts from trustees on, well, can you mind if I break that into two pieces? First, on the infrastructure part, I'm open to any suggestion that you have for making that language stronger. So noodle it over. Anybody else with thoughts on the fiscal planning infrastructure? Okay, and let's take up Aaron's STR question. Any other thoughts?
Well, most of the other, just an observation that most of the other goals don't name a particular policy. So maybe if we think about more broadly, we're updating a number of codes. It's not really budget though.
Well,
Yeah, so actually, I'm not sure if like the short-term rental permitting really fits into the budget goal anyway. It's more of a sort of a policy, our legislative agenda for the year.
yes.
And we have other code updates that we're planning to do as well.
And I wasn't necessarily putting it forward as a goal to add into the budget. That was the one idea I put forward was the infrastructure needs.
Yeah.
And then, flowing out from that, other things that are going to impact fiscal. But it doesn't,
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be called out as a goal in itself. I think fully operationalized, new revenue sources covers it.
Yeah, and maybe it's something about I mean, I think some of what we're also balancing is how this fits within existing staff workloads
Correct.
and the budget that we have for our staff, and so it's
Correct.
something about I don't have the language for it, but.
Well, we're gonna be,
I think that-
as we move
a
through
budget
budget
item.
process, we'll be making progress on those kinds of questions.
My one observation of our list from last time, which, you know, a lot of these are things that I work on, so glad to see them, but it's very infrastructure heavy, and so then adding one more makes it even longer with more infrastructure, so there might be a way to
Tighten it up.
just combine
Sure.
the
Maybe the third point can add some words about financial
Okay,
impact.
so combine them.
You thinking
Yeah.
something like this?
yeah, or I mean, I think the critical infrastructure needs and the physical plant assets are similar, you know, addressing and maintaining critical infrastructure and physical plant assets or something, you know, I think we're overall getting, or building the resiliency for critical infrastructure. You know what I mean? Those
I get your
three
groove.
feel like they're similar.
So I'll work on it, send it around. If you have language that you want to send to me, that's cool. Are folks starting to build items for things we need to bid and price? I know Liza's looking at parking meters. We don't need to discuss these tonight in
Yeah.
any detail. I'm just saying, please be building your list as we go into
Sure.
discussions for.
Just a little update, I am, the website provider did reach out to me.
Oh,
about
good.
the Upgrade, so, it was at an inconvenient time, and he
Of
hasn't
course.
followed up with an email, of course, because whatever technology. But that's something I'll continue pursuing
I
to
mean,
find
that's-
out. It's a big unknown right now for us, it
Yeah.
seems very confusing what our provider is doing with their website.
Yeah, and then they've been just really terrible communicators for a really long time. So thank you for taking that on.
Do our best to understand what's going on and to figure out what's needed.
Okay, thank you. We have a member of the public in the room. We have a couple of members of the public online. Is the board interested in entertaining public comment?
Yes. On agenda items.
So yes, on agenda items. So I will make a motion to open public comment to agenda items. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi, did you have something you wanted to share with us this evening?
I'm here to listen, but thanks for giving us the opportunity to speak.
Okay, thanks. Nice to see
You
you.
too.
Anyone joining us online? Want to make a comment? Okay, hearing none, make a motion to adjourn. Oh, are you raising your hand, Sue?
No, that's the cursor.
Hi, I just want to say I appreciate the board's vote to have the traffic consultant look over the DGIS. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any others? Hearing none, I make a motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor? Aye. Get home before the weather gets. Thanks for coming.